Let me ask you something. You have the credentials, you have the experience, and you've been putting in the work. So, why does it feel like you keep hitting the same invisible ceiling, like month after month, year after year? Here's what nobody is telling you: the ceiling, or this invisible barrier, it isn't out there outside of you. It never was. I need you to stay with me. Now, this is the Liberated Mind, and I want you to feel welcome back to the show. My name is Carl Ladding. I am the Mind Liberator. And if you're new here, I want you to feel welcome because this space is for people who are done making excuses, who are done waiting for conditions to be perfect, and they're done operating beneath their actual capacity. That's who we are, and that's who we do this for. Now, today's episode is built around a script that I've been sitting with for a little while, and it's rooted in many of the teachings of the people who I read. Obviously, the Bible, guys like David Baer, Neville Goddard, you name it. Just some of the more underrated minds of the 20th and 21st century. And I just want to do today, what I want to do is not just teach it to you, but I want it to connect to your real life, to your business, your leadership, your next level, because this isn't just philosophy. This is an operating system. And so let's build here. Now, the quote that I want to use, this comes from one of my coaches. And what they were saying is that you have to persist in the assumption until it hardens into fact. Not until it feels good, not until somebody else validates you, and not until the numbers show up for you, whether that be money, likes, followers, whatever, but until it hardens into fact. Now, let's define this whole concept of assumption, because assumption is a key concept that we do every day. For instance, when you get in your car, you assume that it's going to start. There is no doubt in your mind as you're putting your things together, getting your keys, your briefcase, whatever it is that you need for the day. You sit in the car. When you go to crank it or hit the button, you assume it's going to come on. If it doesn't, you're shocked because you would have planned had you known that it wasn't going to work, but you didn't because you assumed that it would. And so when we think about assumption with regard to who we want to be, what we want to do, what we want to have, there are some assumptions that you have to make, especially about your future, that is real now. Not when I get there, not when I do certain things, but it's real right now. And so this issue that we persist in the assumption until it hardens into fact, that one sentence, it kind of changed the way that I approach life because it took me a lot longer than I want to admit to actually understand what that meant. So let me tell you why. So for a long time, I thought I was doing everything right. I was showing up early, I was staying late, building programs, written a few books, serving clients, checking all the boxes that you think need to be checked. And for stretches, it worked. Things would move, numbers would climb. I'd see some momentum, but then something would seem to knock me sideways. Like a deal would fall through, a client would ghost me, or maybe a season would just go quiet. And then I'd reset all the way back to square one, hustling back up from the bottom yet again. And so for a long time, I blamed the market, I blamed the economy, I blamed timing, I blamed people, I even blamed myself. Like, I wasn't working hard enough, like I wasn't doing enough, like, there was some secret that I was missing. Any of that sound familiar? And so here's what I eventually had to face. It wasn't the market, it wasn't the timing, it wasn't even my emotional or mental state. I was working hard toward the life that I wanted. Watch this, instead of working from it. Okay, let me take my time here. When we talk about working from it, see if you can catch this. I'm going to say something that's going to sound mystical or esoteric, certainly scriptural. But when God finished creating the earth and he said, it's finished, everything was finished. When I say everything, every potentiality of what could ever come to be was finished. So stay with me. That is to say that when you imagine certain things that you want to have, things you want to be, things you want to do, that exists somewhere. But the question is, do you see it as real? And it takes seeing it as real to make the decision that it is real and that you are going to bring it into your now. But you have to assume, right, that everything about that version of you is true now and then live from there. I digress. So every time that I hit one of those ceilings that I was operating in, there was like this sense of an absence of the things that I was desiring. So I was moving from the fear that it might not work or from the worry that I wasn't enough. But here's the brutal truth that the outer world does not respond to your effort. Oh boy, that is not going to go over well with some listeners. And that's okay. I've been there. But the outer world, results, your life, other people, it doesn't respond to your effort. People only respond, and the world only responds to your state. The state that you have assumed and are currently embodying to be true in your beliefs, thoughts, emotions, actions. Think about the people mover at the airport. You know the one, that long, flat escalator, and it moves you through the terminal. If you walk forward on it, you get to wherever you're going faster. If you stand still, you still move, it's just slower. But if you walk backwards, you barely go anywhere. Or maybe you can go back if you go fast enough. So I was walking backwards on a moving floor and wondering why I kept ending up behind. Not because I wasn't working, not because things just weren't designed or going my way. But the fact is that I was going backwards just from the standpoint that it was me trying to do things from the wrong place. And that's the inside job that we all have to work on. Principle that imagination is the first cause. This is the very first thing that I want to build with you today, because imagination is not a luxury, it's not a daydream, and it's not something that you do when the real work is done. It is the first cause of everything. So let me say that again. Imagination is the first cause of everything. Every invention that has ever existed. Before it was in anybody's hands, it was in somebody's mind. The iPhone, the car, the building that you're currently sitting in. Every single one of them. Idea first, physical form second. Always. Now, here's where most of us get this wrong. We think imagination is something that we do to feel better about where we're not yet, where we are not yet at, right? Kind of like this comfort mechanism, a coping tool. But no, imagination is the blueprint. It's the actual creative force that precedes physical reality. So your desire, whatever that might be, the income that you want to hit, the business that you want to build, the leader that you want to become, that desire is not a distant wish. It already exists within you as a thought, as a feeling, as an image. And that image, it's not fantasy. That's the trick that the devil's played on us. It's the seed of what's coming. And what you do with that image, how seriously you take it, how completely you inhabit it, determines how fast it moves from imagination into your actual life. It was the great Napoleon Hill who put it this way. He said, whatever the mind can conceive and believe, the mind can achieve. Notice the sequence. Conceive first, believe second, achieve third. Get it? So most people, we end up skipping the first two and wonder why the third never shows up. We're not doing that anymore. Okay? Let's move on to principle number 2. Live from the end. This is the second thing. And this is the one that's going to change how you move every single day. Your outer world, as I said, it's a mirror, but it's a slow mirror. It's always lagging behind your inner state. So if you're wanting to have that mirror to change in front of you before you change how you feel, you're going to be waiting forever. The sequence doesn't work that way. You move first inside, then the mirror catches up. This is the way, or what it means to live from the end, not toward the end, but from it. There's a massive difference between those two words. Toward is saying, I'm not there yet. I'm working to get there. I'll feel it when I arrive. From is saying, I'm already there in my being. I already carry the identity of the person who has this. I already operate from that place. So let me give you a real example. If you're building toward financial abundance, don't wait until the account hits a certain number before you start feeling abundant. That is not how it works. You have to feel it now and not recklessly. I'm not telling you to spend money that you don't have. Don't do that. I'm talking about your inner state, your energy, the way that you walk into a room, the way that you make decisions, the way that you respond when an opportunity shows up. Do you respond like somebody who is desperate for it? Or do you respond like someone who already has options? See, that shift, that internal shift, it changes everything downstream. Okay. So when I stopped working toward the life that I wanted and started working from it, that's when the results start adding up. That's when my conversations began to change. That's when I started to attract the kind of clients who began to adopt what I was saying versus thinking that, hey, maybe I'll try it, maybe I won't. The way I showed up in rooms changed, not because I pretended, but because I made decisions about who I already was. And then I held it. That's the discipline. That's the inside job. Principle number 3, faith and persistence. This is the third thing, and please don't miss this. Knowing this is one thing, but holding it when life pushes back is an entirely different thing, because it's going to push back. The numbers are going to dip. Somebody is going to say no. Some seasons are just going to go quiet. And in that moment, doubt is going to show up right on schedule. And the doubt is going to say, see, it's not working. You were foolish to listen to Carl. Get back in line and go back to the way we used to do things. But that's just the test. That's not a punishment, just a test, because here's what we need to understand. Faith is not the absence of resistance. Faith is choosing your assumption over the evidence that contradicts it. And that's not blind faith. That's disciplined faith. And he's one of the founders of positive psychology, and he talks about something called disputation. And so this is when a negative voice shows up. You don't just let it run. You interrupt it. You challenge it. Then you replace it with the truth that you've already decided to live from. Not because you're ignoring reality, but because you understand that your inner reality is what shapes the outer one every single time. The senses are slow. They only reflect what's already been decided in the invisible realm. Your job is just to persist in that decision. Not once, not twice. You're going to do this moment to moment until it hardens into fact. That's the formula. That's the whole thing that we're talking about. David Baer calls that neural pruning, that you're actually changing the neuron network in your brain. So let me give you a practical exercise for a second, because we don't just talk about ideas on this show, we actually build. So here's what I want you to do starting today. Every morning, before the phone, before the news, before the noise, give yourself 5 minutes, just 5 minutes. Sit still, close your eyes, and step into the life that you've already decided is yours. Not hoping, not wishing, but actually embodying that, to actually inhabit it. Feel what it feels like to already be that leader, already running that business, already in that relationship, already living from that income level that you've already said that you want to live at. Feel the specific emotions, the confidence, the relief that comes with that. Sometimes it's just like this quiet knowing that everything is as it should be. And then open your eyes and carry that state into your day, not as a performance, but as a decision. You might not get 2 hours, 3 hours into the day, but if you can just get 5, 10, 20 minutes, great, and get further and further each day. So this is kind of training your default state. And the more consistently you do it, then the more that state becomes where you naturally live from. And when you naturally live from there, your decisions change. Your conversation is going to begin to change. And what you attract is going to change. 5 minutes every morning. That is the floor. Now, what I want to talk to you about, just for some of you, this clicked in your head, this clicked in your heart, clicked in your spirit, and you're going to go and do it. And I celebrate that. But then for some of you, you've heard this before and you tried it, you started, and something just keeps pulling you right back into the old pattern that you used to operate in. And you still find yourself hitting that same invisible ceiling with the same result and that same frustrating loop. Now, if that's you, that's not a motivation problem. That's a structure problem. The root hasn't been addressed. So that's exactly why I built the Optimind Thinking Framework. It's an 8-week immersive coaching program. I take 8 clients maximum. We go in and we find the specific belief, the specific identity pattern, the specific internal story that keeps generating that same external ceiling. And then we remove it. We don't do inspiration. We don't do surface fixes. We do the overhaul. I spent 25 years developing leaders inside of Nevada's public and private sector. I've also watched highly capable people, credentialed, driven, talented people. They operate at 60% of what they're built for because of something that they just couldn't see. Because we make it visible and then we go to work on it. Clients inside of Optimind routinely report measurable shifts in clarity, confidence, and output within the first 30 days. And that's not because I did something to them. It's no magic trick. It's just us being able to finally address what has been their cap, that invisible ceiling. And so you're going to see the link to apply in the description. Read it. If this is talking to you, reach out to me directly at carl@thebestlifepractices.com. I carry the risk, not you. So with that said, this once again is the Liberated Mind show. And here's what I want to leave you with today. You won the lottery just by being alive. You were a 1 in 400 million long shot. That's the statistical probability of you existing at all. And you beat those odds on day one. So don't spend the rest of your life operating below what that shot was meant for. The ceiling is not out there. It never was. It's just a belief, and beliefs do change. So I ask that you answer the call that has been speaking to you on the inside. Whatever is pulling at you right now, the idea, the vision, the version of yourself that you keep almost becoming, is calling you for a reason. Pick up. If this has landed for you today, hit the like button, drop a comment, subscribe to the show. We're building something really cool here. It's going to get better when we do it together. Come on up with us. Are you coming? Take it easy. I'm out.